So joining us now to talk about this and so much, we have Republican Congressman Lance of New Jersey. Congressman, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Alice.
Were you surprised to hear President Trump say that he believes in a pathway to citizenship for Dreamers?
I was not, and I think that we should be working on this issue in a bipartisan capacity, and I'm open to that.
How do you think the more hardline Republicans in Congress will react? And I ask because Breitbart already has a headline calling the president Amnesty Don, and we know that the folks like Steve King, et cetera, just do not like this idea.
There's obviously a debate in the Republican caucus on this. I favor addressing the Dreamers and also addressing border security, and I think that that can occur at the same time. And there will obviously be a compromise because for legislation to reach the president's desk, Allison, it has to pass both the House and the Senate. And this will be a matter of discussion, but the president has put forth a proposal yesterday in his press conference, and I'm certainly willing to examine it.
Is that condition $25 billion? Does the pathway to citizenship for Dreamers come with a price tag of $25 billion for the border wall, and are you comfortable with that?
I think that that's a high figure, but that's a negotiating strategy, and that will be part of the negotiations. I do favor greater border security.
Including a wall?
Including drones and perhaps more agents.
But what about a wall?
I don't think there has to be a wall at all places, but perhaps in some places. I have been at the southern border, and there's no need for a wall in southern Arizona because the terrain is so rugged.
So are you saying that you think you can get what you want and what many Republicans want, including the president, for less than $25 billion?
I would imagine so, yes.
And what about the president's promise of a real brick-and-mortar wall? Will he move off that?
I would imagine that's a negotiating strategy, but we certainly need greater border security because when the last legislation was passed in the middle 1980s, the promise was made that there would be border security, and that half really didn't occur. We don't want to go through this 20 years from now.
Okay, let's move on and talk about other things that are percolating. Is there a secret society in the FBI, as Senator Ron Johnson and a couple of others have suggested?
I do not know whether there's a secret society in the FBI. I did read the memo, and I think the memo should be made public. I understand now there's a Democratic memo as well, and I would make that public and let the people of this country judge.
There's a lot of mysterious things, so let's separate them, okay? There's supposedly, I mean, according to Ron Johnson, he has seen these text messages between these two FBI agents who were disappointed by President Trump's victory. They were not fans. And in one text message, there was something on the day after he won about, well, maybe we should save this for the secret society. Nobody knows if it was in jest. Mm-hmm. Then there's the mystery memo that you're referring to, and this was crafted by Chairman Devin Nunes of the House Intel Committee. And nobody in the public knows what's in it. In fact, he won't give it to the Department of Justice. He won't give it to the Senate Intel Committee. Mm-hmm. What's so mysterious in there? What's so damning?
I'm not able to discuss what is in the memo because it is classified, but I would hope that it could be made public. And Allison, if there is a Democratic memo, as I understand there is, that should be made public as well.
You don't see anything in the memo that couldn't be made public?
I don't want to comment on the substance of the memo.
We just heard from Jerry Nadler, who said that he also has seen the mystery memo. He says it is profoundly misleading. Mm-hmm.
I think that's why the public should judge. And I read what I read, and I'm certainly willing to read a Democratic memo if that's made available to me as well.
Why isn't Devin Nunes releasing it to the Department of Justice or to the Senate Intel Committee or to the public?
I think that it should be released to American people, and I hope that that process can occur as soon as possible.
The Justice Department has called it reckless. Do you agree?
I don't want to comment on the substance of the memo, but in my opinion, it should be released to the American people, and then experts from across the board can decide.
Okay, but forget about the substance. I understand that you're hamstrung by the classified. You can't say anything. I get it. But in broad brushstrokes, do you think that talking, like, in other words, some of your Republican colleagues are talking about this mystery memo and planting the seed that something ominous is afoot? Is that reckless?
I think that the American people should judge, and I would urge that the memo be made public. And there's a process to do that. As I understand it, it would have to take a vote of the Intelligence Committee and then a decision by President Trump.
All right, next topic. I want to ask you about one of your former colleagues on the Ethics Committee. This is Congressman Patrick Meehan. He was on the Ethics Committee. He then had to step down from it because of this inappropriate relationship that he had, or I don't even know if the relationship is the right word. He sexually harassed an underling on his staff and then paid her with office funds, i.e. taxpayer money. She had to leave her job. Why does he still have a job?
I believe that this is a matter that will come before the Ethics Committee. I believe that the Congressman has self-referred this to the Ethics Committee, and therefore the Ethics Committee will be examining it, and I, of course, will be a part of that because I am one of the members of the Ethics Committee. There are 5 Republicans and 5 Democrats, and because Congressman Meehan has left the Ethics Committee, a new Republican will have to be appointed to the Ethics Committee. I want to assure the public through your program, Allison, that the Ethics Committee works in a completely bipartisan capacity, and we will examine this and all other matters that come before us.
From what you've heard, would be paying an underling who you've sexually harassed money with taxpayer funds, would that be a violation of ethics?
I'm not going to go into details, but obviously there are strict rules regarding these matters, and we work in a completely bipartisan capacity, and we will get to the bottom of any matter that is referred to us.
How long will that take?
It may take 2 or 3 months because there's a process involved, and it involves due process for all concerned.
Congressman Leonard Lance, thank you.